A staggering physical shift has left the music world questioning if we are even looking at the same artist who stole the spotlight over a decade ago. We begin tonight with a visual that has left fans in a state of disbelief. In the high-stakes world of the music industry, image is often curated by PR teams and stylists, but what we are witnessing with Jonathan Antoine in 2026 appears to be a total biological overhaul. When the tenor first emerged as a teenager, he was defined by a specific silhouette, one that suggested a shy, protected youth. But the man appearing on camera today is nearly unrecognizable. Reports indicate a loss of over 5 stone, a transformation achieved not through publicized surgery, but through a grueling, almost obsessive dedication to a new lifestyle. Inside sources suggest that during his high-pressure tour across the United States, Antoine reached a breaking point. The cycle of convenience food and the sedentary life of a touring musician had taken a toll that was becoming visible to the naked eye. What followed was a radical pivot. He didn't just join a gym. He reportedly began a regimen of internal packing, clocking 10,000 steps within the confines of his own hotel rooms when the outside world felt too overwhelming. This wasn't just about aesthetics. It was a survival tactic. As we look at the 2026 footage, the jawline is sharper, the posture is authoritative, and the BGT shy boy has been replaced by a man who seems to have physically shed the weight of his past. But as any investigative reporter knows, a change this drastic on the outside usually points to a massive shift on the inside. And the how of his weight loss is only the first chapter in a much darker story of personal reclamation. Beneath the surface of his new appearance lies a medical revelation that explains decades of unusual behavior and social withdrawal. The investigation into Antoine's new persona leads us to a pivotal moment in late 2025 when a long-guarded secret was finally brought to light. For years, critics and even some fans labeled Jonathan as difficult or overly reclusive, but the truth is far more scientific. At the age of 27, Antoine received a formal diagnosis of autism, a label that he claims recontextualized his entire existence. From a reporter's perspective, this explains the glitch in the system that many observed during his early rise to fame. We've uncovered accounts of his early schooling where, at just 4 years old, he was already being ostracized by peers, a pattern that followed him into the global spotlight. This diagnosis wasn't just a medical footnote, it was the key to his 2026 transformation. Understanding his neurodivergence allowed him to stop fighting his own nature. He has recently spoken about the sensory hell of the industry and how he spent years trying to mask his true self to fit the opera prodigy mold. This internal struggle often manifested as physical symptoms and extreme anxiety, which contributed to his previous health issues. By finally naming the enemy, he was able to make peace with it. This revelation has sparked a massive conversation within the industry about how we treat young stars who don't fit the typical social mold. In 2026, he isn't just a singer. He has become a symbol for a new era of neurodivergent artists who refuse to be fixed. However, while he has mastered his internal world, his external living situation continues to raise eyebrows among those following his career closely. Despite a net worth in the millions, Antoine remains anchored to his childhood home in a dynamic that many find increasingly strange. One of the most controversial aspects of our investigation involves the singer's domestic life, which seems to contradict the typical rock star trajectory. Despite being 31 years old and having topped the classical charts multiple times, Antoine still resides in his parents' home in London. This isn't just a matter of convenience. It appears to be a highly orchestrated family operation. We've discovered that his mother remains the primary architect of his physical image, specifically his trademark long hair. Reports suggest she uses a precise 3-wand curling technique to maintain his appearance before every public outing. While some see this as a heartwarming story of family support, others in the industry point to it as a sign of an arrested development or a refusal to leave the nest. Rumors have circulated about his dependency on this inner circle, questioning whether he can truly function as an independent artist without the protective shield of his parents. This gilded cage existence has become a point of contention among fans, especially as he moves into this 2026 rebrand. Is the new look truly his own, or is it another layer of paint applied by those who have controlled his image since he was 17? Furthermore, the absence of a certain partner from his past makes this family-centric life even more conspicuous. The mystery of why he hasn't moved on to a more conventional adult life remains one of the most discussed topics in the fandom community, leading many to speculate if his past professional traumas have made him afraid to trust anyone outside of his immediate bloodline. The silence between the most famous duo in British talent show history has finally reached a breaking point, and the details are colder than anyone expected. We cannot discuss the new Jonathan without addressing the ghost of his past, Charlotte Jaconelli. In 2012, they were inseparable, the misfit duo that nearly won it all. But in 2026, the distance between them is a canyon. Our investigation into their drift reveals a professional divorce that was far from amicable. While the official line was a desire to pursue solo careers, the reality appears to be a total cessation of communication. When pressed about a reunion in recent months, Antoine's responses have been chillingly distant, suggesting that a comeback might not happen for another 2 decades, if ever. This rift is a crucial piece of the puzzle regarding his 2026 transformation. It appears that to become the man we see today, he had to completely sever the ties to the person who shared his origin story. There are whispers of creative differences that were actually deep-seated personal conflicts, fueled by the intense pressure of being the duo. Fans have long speculated that a reunion was just a matter of time and money, but our sources indicate that the emotional bridge has been burned. This solo at all costs mentality is reflected in his new, aggressive marketing strategy. He is no longer the and in Jonathan and Charlotte. He is a singular force, and his 2026 appearance reflects that independence. He has traded the safe duo image for a solo persona that is polarizing, experimental, and, quite frankly, a massive risk. This leads us to the final, most shocking element of his current status, the music itself. The operatic voice that made him a household name is being silenced in favor of a sound that has traditionalists calling for a boycott. As we conclude this investigation, we look at the most recent development, the music of 2026. Jonathan Antoine is currently in the middle of a massive sonic pivot. Moving away from the soaring arias that defined his youth, he is embracing a pop crossover style that many are calling a desperate attempt to stay relevant, while others see it as his first taste of true creative freedom. His upcoming project, Speaking to You, is rumored to be a departure so radical that it has left his label in a state of high alert. This isn't just a new album, it's a manifesto. He's shedding the opera boy skin in favor of something more relatable, more modern, and far more controversial. But with this new sound comes a significant risk of alienating the very fans who supported his journey through the dark years. The 2026 version of Jonathan Antoine is a man who has decided that being liked is less important than being understood. He has conquered his health, addressed his neurodivergence, and cut ties with his past, but at what cost? As he prepares for his late 2026 tour, the question remains, will the public embrace this unrecognizable version of the star, or have they been chasing a ghost from 2012 this whole time? One thing is certain, the shy teenager is dead and buried. What's left is a man who is finally ready to speak, even if the world isn't ready to listen.